So hey guys, welcome back to another interesting podcast. Today we have Dinkar. She will tell you like how you can crack Google. So आप लोगों की यार ड्रीम कंपनी है गूगल और जो दिनकर जी हैं वो HD1 नहीं 2 नहीं 3 है, तो उनके पास तगड़ा एक्सपीरियंस होगा। तो यार वो तगड़ा एक्सपीरियंस आपको इस पॉडकास्ट के थ्रू पता चल रहा होगा और आपको अगर लग रहा है ना यार कि गूगल में किस तरीके से इंटरव्यू क्रैक करते हैं, कहाँ से प्रिपरेशन करनी चाहिए। इंटरनेट पे ऐसे यार बहुत सारी जगह है जहां पर हम कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं यार, लाइक वेयर शुड आई गो एंड कहाँ से मुझे करना चाहिए, कैसे करना चाहिए। तो यार वो पूरा लाइक आप कह सकते हो कंप्लीट रोड मैप आपको इस पॉडकास्ट के थ्रू मिल जाएगा। तो यार लगे रहो इस पॉडकास्ट में, बिल्कुल एंड तक देखो और चलो फिर इस इंटरेस्टिंग पॉडकास्ट को स्टार्ट करते हैं। एंड वेलकम दिनकर जी, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर कमिंग एंड ओवर टू यू।
Yeah, thank you, Samir, for this introduction. I'll add to this. My name is Dinkar, and I have around 10 years of experience in working with companies like Samsung, Paytm. I have experience working with the startups also like Live and recently I have joined Google. So basically, I have worked with companies of all the sizes.
Thank you, sir. And sir, like suppose now I'm watching this podcast. Now I'm in college. I can be first year, second year, third year, or final year, and I want to join Google. Then what will be my first step?
So my understanding is if you are in college, you need to understand. Uh, you need basically this is your goal to be in Google, or instead of Google it might be another company. So I'll talk about Google. What you can do, you can take this as a goal and you can divide it in basically tasks. So the very first thing is you need to get an interview call, and without getting an interview call you cannot crack Google. How to get an interview call can be a separate discussion, and then after getting an interview call, how to crack interview is a separate discussion. So we can talk about both of them.
Yes, sir.
uh,
Please.
Basically if you want to get an interview call, there are multiple ways. So starting from, it depends on, I'll say, the number of interviews happening in that company. So in companies like Google, the number of interviews, sometimes they are high, sometimes they are less, sometimes they are doing, let's say, 1,000 interviews per month, sometimes they are doing 10,000 interviews per month. So sometimes it's in your hand. Maybe if you are eligible, you have visibility to recruiters, but you might not get interview call because they are not doing too many interviews. So it's not your fault. What you can do is you can do things that might get you interview call, but then it again depends on factors that are not in your control basically.
Mm.
So keeping it aside, like how many interviews happening in the company, now coming back, what you can do is you need uh, to be visible as a strong candidate to recruiter. So
Mm-hmm.
there are two things like visibility and a strong candidate.
Okay.
And in my experience, I have seen people doing this by, all these steps are basically not mandatory. Anyone can take any path.
Mm.
So the very first thing I feel is if you are in a good college, you automatically get that visibility. So if you are in a good college, say IIT, NIT, or any
Mhm.
any good college, any tier one college, you will get that visibility automatically.
That is a
So
plus point.
that is a plus point for getting interview only. I'll not say that is giving you any other benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Other benefits you get because you are in that environment, you automatically get other things. But the
Mm.
first thing is visibility. So suppose if you are an interviewer
Mm.
and you want to hire a candidate, obviously you will want to go to a place where there are high chances of getting a candidate. So people sometimes say like tier 3 colleges also have good candidates. I agree, but if you see the number of good candidates who might be a good fit for Google are less as compared to other tier 1 or tier 2 colleges.
Oh.
So like
Mm.
in tier 3 colleges, if you see in my batch, if I see people are not in software, they have changed fields. I mean,
Oh.
every kind of people are there.
Mm-hmm.
But in tier 1, uh, the density of talent is greater than the density of tier 3 students. So as a, for an interviewer or for a recruiter, it is easy to find talent there. Apart from being in a college like this, that's not in your hand. If you are not in a good college, if you are in a tier 2 or tier 3 college, what is in your hand is, uh, I have seen people doing competitive programming. So uh, being a competitive programmer is a different thing. I mean, it's your hobby. It might be because of your passion, your interest, but at the end, it gives you a visibility. For example, if you are participating in Google Code Jam, that's a annual coding competition by Google, and the purpose of this competition is to spot potential candidates. So if a candidate is advancing to next round or to final rounds, it's easy for them to spot candidates for interview because they know that these candidates might crack interview. One of the ways. But being an expert in competitive programming altogether is a different game. It's like to crack Google interview, you don't need to be an expert in competitive programming. That's a different sport. That's a different path. But that gives you a visibility. One thing. Another thing might be keeping your profile updated on LinkedIn because, as I said, when sometimes more number of interviews are happening, apart from tier 1 and tier 2 colleges, recruiter will uh, look for their options to find candidates. So one can be through LinkedIn. Another way I feel is to get a referral. If you know someone, you can ask them to give you a referral. So these are the four ways I think. If I remember any more ways to get an interview, I'll talk about that.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Four ways are very useful. Someone will follow these steps, then there is a lot of chances to get a call from HR. And sir, like we know now, we knew how to approach, like how to get calls, and like where should we learn coding?
So
Very confusing topic.
yeah, it's very confusing topic. Sometimes people want to be an expert in competitive programming,
Mm.
and they think like if I
Deeply dynamic
red,
program. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. If they think like if they be an expert in competitive programming, might be on top coder if they become a red coder, or I don't remember those uh, color codes. But people think like if they become a red coder or yellow coder, they might be a greater chance to crack the interview. Obviously, there will be a greater chance if you are that much expert, but that much effort is not required, honestly. So, what is required is like similarly, if you are in a tier 1 college, apart from giving you a visibility and other things, tier 1 college gives you many things from life's perspective, from career's perspective, opportunities, everything. Similarly, competitive programming, apart from cracking interviews, there are many things. So cracking interview is a subset of being an expert in competitive programming, but that's not required. That's not mandatory. I checked my lead code after cracking Google interview, and the total number of questions I solved around, I don't think it was near 100. Yeah. So one thing you need to understand is you need to get your basics clear and very clear, very strong. And from where you can do that, it's your choice. You need to find correct resources wherever you find comfortable understanding that concept. So uh, my path was like when I was in that situation where I was looking for answers like how to be an expert in coding, how to crack interviews like Google, I used to reach out to people. So one way is to reach out to people. You can ping people on LinkedIn. Maybe you ping 50 people, one of them will definitely reply. And if they don't, there is no harm to you. You can reach out to people with your question. So I used to do this, and after I got some understanding, what I did is I took a basic data structure book. So I read a topic from there and read it between lines. Every word in that book about that topic. Suppose if you are learning about a BFS maybe,
Mhm.
so go to that page directly. You don't need to read the book page by page. That will
Mhm.
take a lot of time. You just go to that topic, read entire topic, every single word, understand the meaning of that word, and do it uh, using a good book. I will say, not
Mhm.
don't waste your time on a low quality book.
Yes, sir.
I don't know which book is bad, but I certainly know which book is good. So two books I followed. One is Corman. Corman is very famous. Introduction to Algorithm by Corman. Uh, I think you only need this book if you need to understand basics of data structure and algorithm. So go to that topic, read every single line, every single word in that heading,
Mhm.
make it clear, and then try to solve questions on that topic. So now coming to solving questions, there are examples in the book also. There are exercise questions in the book also. First you do that, you make your concept clear, and then you can head to other sites. Like there are many websites, LeetCode, Geeks for Geeks. There are I used SPOJ. SPOJ is there. Code Forces.
Yeah. Good.
All these websites you can uh, filter questions by the topic. So you learn a topic, you go to that
Mhm.
website, you solve some questions on that topic, and see
Yes.
like what you have learned. So this is what I followed.
Till now I understand how, like, you suggest one book,
Yeah.
and through that book we can prepare for DSA, and you have also like tell told the platform like Lead Code or Geeks for Gigs, so where we can practice those questions. Then after that, like, suppose, sir, now we have opportunity, like we have received call from the Google, and how many interview rounds there, and which interview question can be asked, like, sir.
Yeah. So like once you have prepared, once you are good with your concepts, then you can focus your preparation towards interview. Like there is a particular structure to the interview. So I remember a day before I shared my documents when I was giving interview to Google. So I listed down my findings, like what they are looking for, and now I also take interviews, so I know like what specific attributes we are looking for when we are taking interviews. So once you are done with the basics, what you need to do is you need to prepare yourself around those attributes. You list down all those attributes. How to get those attributes is you can talk to your recruiter. He will tell you what is required. Few things I can tell you is you need speed, because in Google interview it's a 45 minutes interview, single interview, and in that interview few minutes go in setting up interview, introducing yourself. So it's your responsibility to navigate the interview efficiently. If you have any doubts, cross questions, you need to ask that. So I'll say, like, you need to structure your preparation around the interview format of Google, and for that you need to practice. On a software engineering position, apart from behavioral or leadership round, depending on how senior level you are coming, everyone has to pass data structure round, and Google calls it uh, general cognitive ability. So it is like uh, GCA. If you search this term on Google, it's your cognitive ability to solve problems, to reason about the problem, to reason about the solution or the things we are talking about. So In a 45 minutes interview, they expect you to write uh, working code,
Mhm.
and you need to write a readable code also. So you need to take care of variable names, structure of the code. It's not like you can take ijk for the for loop and keep writing your code, take any random variable. You need to take meaningful variable names, method names, or anything that can make your code readable, like make functions for small functionalities. That's one. uh, Readability I have talked about. You need a working code. So they expect you to solve a medium level question, sometimes an easy question. I have not seen hard questions very frequently in Google interviews. For me also and for others also, I take interviews. The so the questions are like, you will solve an easy or a medium question, and depending on uh, how much time demanding the question was, they might come up with a follow up question or might be a different question in the same round of the interview. So in 45 minutes, you say like you need to solve two easy questions, two good level easy questions. It's not like
Okay.
very easy questions, but yeah, easy to medium questions.
Mm.
You need to solve two questions. So uh, you are given a question. The format is, you first describe, you first
Mhm.
clarifying questions, because it is almost always a case that they will give you a statement that if you start solving, you will end up assuming things. So you need to ask clarifying questions. You define the constraint on input everything, don't assume anything, and then you give your optimal solution, whatever you are thinking, and just don't give your solution. If you are reaching to the solution by thinking something, just keep talking about that. In because sometimes it's not about if you can reach the solution, if you can write a working code. It's also about how you are reaching to the solution, what you are thinking. So because the goal is to check your general cognitive ability. So you give the solution, you talk about the time complexity, and it's not like you talk about time complexity, you also need to reason about the time complexity, why the time complexity is n or log n. Because you can read in the book and then you can tell the interviewer that the time complexity is this, but then you need to also reason about that, you need to prove that why the time complexity is this. And then going forward, uh, you ask that you are going to write the code. You write code. Once you write the code, interviewer will check the code. But before interviewer checks the code, it's your responsibility to check your code and find anything that you have left by mistake. Because most of the times we are done, we will tell interviewer, okay, I'm done. And they will find an edge case missing or some syntax missing or anything. So it's your responsibility to check your code, do a dry run, check for the readability, check for all the test cases are passing. And sometimes we think like we have solved the question, we are good in the interview, but interviewer is mostly expecting to ask a follow-up question on top of that, or they are planning to ask another question. So most of the it happens like candidate, if they are not aware like Google is expecting to ask two questions in an interview, they might feel they have done good. Most of the times, you need to keep this in mind, like if you have an easy to medium question, you need to solve that in 15 to 20 minutes, so that you are left with time for another question. Format and all the rounds, I think three data structure rounds are there apart from screening round, and they have the format.
Okay, in 3 rounds, they will ask only regarding the data structure.
Yeah, the same format in all the three rounds.
And after that, sir, there is a HR round or something.
After that, there is a behavioral round for entry level positions. For senior positions, there is a leadership round also. The behavioral round in Google is called Google. I think I don't remember the name. It's
No worries.
Googly, I don't remember.
Mhm.
In that round, they will ask you questions to check behavioral things.
Mhm.
So those questions are in two categories. The first thing is imaginary situations, like if you were in that situation, what will you do?
Mhm.
Like that. Another category of question here is your past experience. Uh, have you been in that situation? And if yes, how did you manage that? I can categorize it like, are you actively seeking feedback about you? Do you care about the feedbacks given to you? To check this, I might ask a question. I can give you a
Mhm.
question, like, tell me about something, talk
Okay.
about this situation. And once you start talking about that, I
Mhm.
need to find out answer to this question, like how do you react to feedback. So I might say, okay, uh, Samir does not listen about feedback at all.
Mhm.
That's worst rating. The best rating can be Samir proactively looking for the feedback himself without anybody telling him. He reaches out to people to get feedback about him and he actively works on the feedback. That can be the best rating.
Mhm.
An
Yes, sir.
average rating can be you listen to the feedbacks given by others and you work on that. So once you get the attributes, and you need to basically have a lot of past scenarios in your mind that fits around those attributes. So you can say, this is how I used to be, this is how I used to handle situations, and
Mhm.
you need to reflect those things.
And sir, like suppose uh, what will be the work culture when the work culture is very great as a SDE? Like what facility will get from the Google and yeah, and work culture also.
Are we talking about culture or anything else also here?
Yes, sir. Work culture and like what benefit will we will get from the Google as a SDE?
I
Like
think benefits
mhm,
are standard. You can find them anywhere on the internet, like
mhm,
that food, transport, and other benefits, salary, medical, all those things.
mhm,
I'll talk about the culture.
mhm,
So I have been for 1 year in Google, and I have heard a lot of things about Google culture by experienced people also, and less experienced people also. So those things that I heard about Google from more experienced people, I'm yet to experience them.
mhm,
But the things I have experienced till now are according to Google culture, I'll say whatever I expected. So Google cares a lot about you. When I say this, it does it by taking care of your balancing between work and family. So this year I completed 1 year and I went on a paternity leave. Like few months after joining Google, I went on leave, and I was kind of worried like my performance will be impacted. But Google expect you to go on that leave, take care of of your family.
mhm.
So you don't need to worry about that.
Nice. And
Yeah.
sir, like what is the working timing and working dates? Is now still hybrid or like?
Yeah, it is still hybrid in most of the teams. Some teams are might be remote. I don't know about that, but yeah, there are teams that are remote. I'll need to check, but most of the teams are hybrid, and few teams are totally on site because of the nature of work. Maybe they need
Mhm,
to come to office daily because of the structure of their work. Maybe a data center team or hardware team, they need to come to that place. But most of the software engineering positions are hybrid. It's hybrid for most of the teams, and the timing is not fixed. Like you can choose your working hours, but you need to take care like you are available there when teams are meeting for
mhm,
discussions for the
mhm,
meetings. So generally, some people log in at 9, 10, 11. Some people at 8 also, and then they log off at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and any time.
Mhm.
But you need to take care, like you are working 40 hours or 35, 40 hours a week so that you can complete your project or your work.
Mhm. Sir, now this is the important and main way. So what will be the starting salary in Google? And if I have experience like 2 years or 4 years, then I'm switching to Google. Then what I can expect?
Uh, Before coming how much salary Google offers, honestly, I don't have a number right now. Maybe we can discuss how we can find that number. But before that, I want to talk about is Google always takes care of your salary for that experience or the band you are coming in. So suppose if you feel like currently you are at a low salary in a company and going into Google might give you a loss in the sense like you might expect switching companies give you 30% hike or 50% hike, but that's not the case with Google. So if a person is coming to Google at a certain position and the range that range in that range in that position is making your salary double or triple, you will get that. They won't take the benefit of your situation. Like if you are at 4 LPA in TCS, then you will get 30%, 40%, or 100%. If you are going into a band, the salary is 20 lakhs, you will get that. So that is first thing. And now talking about the numbers, how I used to find to get an idea about numbers is one thing you can go to blind. On blind, people are discussing about salaries. So you can find a lot of posts where people are talking about salaries. If you are aware about blind, you
No,
might
sir,
know
I
it.
don't know about it.
So blind is an anonymous version of LinkedIn, you can say.
Okay.
So you cannot see people's name there. You can post
Mhm.
any, you can comment on anything, but people's are anonymous. You cannot see them. The name is not visible. So people talk a lot about there about culture, salary, almost about anything.
In open.
Because they know like people cannot identify
Mm.
them. Another tool, I mean, blind is a very good tool. Another tool might be to get labels.fyi. There also you can get an idea because honestly, I don't have a number in my mind. I don't know the. I can make a guess like if you are coming to an entry level position,
Mm.
you might get something around 15 to 20 LPA as a
Okay. As a
fixed salary.
fresh.
Yeah, and then you have stocks and other benefits. If you are coming a more experienced person on a higher position,
Mm.
like I'll talk about level 1. If you come at level 1, suppose it is called L3 in Google, you might get as a fresher something around 15 to 20. Again, I'm making a guess, and if
Mhm.
you're coming to a next level, suppose L4, the second level is called L4 in Google, depending on number, because L4 is a huge band. So
Mm.
people with 4 years experience also come to L4. 8, 10 till 10, 12 years they come to L4. So that band might be 30 to 50 fix, might be. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, sir, it's very interesting. And sir, if I say, it, uh, please give some advice to some students who wants to join Google, like we can say summary type of this video.
I'll say just focus on two things. Again, as I said in the beginning, and to do those two things, like get shortlisted for the interview and to crack interview, you don't need to put too much effort of your college life. Like you have 4 years in your college,
Mm.
and 4 years time is a very good time also, and I'll say too much time if you do these two things only. Like
Mm,
being good in data structure, I feel it should not take more than a semester or two.
mm,
So you should have other things also in your college life, like
mm,
rest of the years of your college life. If you want to prepare for Google, take that time, and you should. If I say it should not take more than a semester or two, some people might feel demotivated. Like if they might say like, "Am I slow?"
mm,
So one of the uh, one of my relatives, I was guiding them about software
mhm,
jobs. I gave them a topic and I asked them like just finish this topic in a week or two.
mm.
They did not call me again. They said they felt very demotivated. Like how can they finish this in a week or two? So I'll say like take your time. This is just an example to finish it in a semester or two. But doing on just like being good in data structure should not take 4 years of your college. That's my point. So there are other things in college. There are other things you can plan like higher studies, other companies. Apart from data structure, also there are many subjects in computer science you might be interested into.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your timing, sir. Also, guys, you will get very useful information to this podcast. If you get, then like and subscribe. And thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Samir. Thank you for having me.